Federation. We are ready to work together with our partners to ensure global security.
Empires usually collapse with wars, explosions, or treaties. But sometimes history changes in silence. Right now, the future of Russia's control over the Caucasus is being decided inside a hospital room. For more than 20 years, Vladimir Putin kept control of Chechnya through one man, Ramzan Kadyrov. He gave him unlimited power, billions in funding, and freedom to rule his region like a personal kingdom. In return, Kadyrov kept the region under control and loyal to Moscow. But power cannot defeat biology. According to serious reports from independent journalists and multiple regional sources, Kadyrov is suffering from a life-threatening illness. His condition is reportedly critical. Kidney failure, breathing issues, and neurological complications are being mentioned. The visible changes in his appearance, the reduced public presence, and the heavily edited videos now make more sense. And this matters deeply because the political system in Chechnya is not built on laws. It is built entirely around one personality. If that pillar collapses, everything around it collapses too. The danger here is not just personal, it is political. Chechnya's stability depends almost completely on loyalty to Kadyrov. Without him, there is no clear structure, no trusted successor, no stable chain of command. Inside Chechnya, power is divided between rival clans, armed groups, and elite forces. Many of them remain loyal only because Kadyrov's authority kept them under control. Now that his power appears uncertain, competition has already begun quietly. Several figures are emerging in the background, some backed by Moscow, others backed by local networks, some backed by force alone. This kind of power vacuum is extremely dangerous in a region with a long history of internal conflict. When central control weakens, rival groups compete violently for dominance. The Kremlin understands this risk very clearly. That's why this situation creates more fear in Moscow than many external threats. The stability of an entire region is now tied to the health of one man, and that is a very fragile foundation. Russia is reportedly trying to prepare alternative leadership options. One name often discussed in Russian political circles is a senior military figure connected to Chechen units fighting in Ukraine. From Moscow's perspective, they want someone who looks disciplined, loyal, and controllable. But local politics in Chechnya does not work like politics in Moscow. Being seen as Russia's chosen man can be a weakness, not a strength. Many local groups deeply distrust anyone viewed as imposed by the Kremlin. Meanwhile, other powerful figures inside Chechnya control security forces, police units, and economic networks. Each group has its own interests. Each group is preparing for uncertainty. The reality is simple. When leadership weakens, ambition grows. And if multiple factions decide to challenge each other at once, the region could move toward internal conflict very quickly. Russia would then face a serious dilemma. Intervene with force and risk instability, or stay back and risk losing control. Neither option is easy, and both carry massive consequences.
If instability grows inside Chechnya, it will not stay limited to one region. Neighboring areas like Dagestan and Ingushetia already carry deep political, ethnic, and economic tensions. Recent unrest, protests, and security incidents show how fragile stability already is. These regions are diverse, complex, and historically resistant to centralized control. A breakdown in Chechnya would send shockwaves across the entire North Caucasus. Security services would become overstretched. Local conflicts could reemerge. Underground extremist groups could attempt to exploit the chaos. History shows that power vacuums attract radical actors very quickly. This is why analysts describe this as a potential internal crisis for Russia, not just a regional one. The Caucasus has always been one of the most sensitive regions of the Russian Federation. And right now, its future looks increasingly uncertain. While northern instability grows, Russia is also losing influence in the south. Armenia, historically one of Moscow's closest allies, is now moving away politically and strategically. This shift became especially visible after the conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh. When Armenia expected protection, support did not arrive in the way many Armenians hoped. That disappointment deeply damaged trust. Since then, Armenia has frozen participation in several Russian-led military structures. It has increased cooperation with Western countries. Joint exercises with American forces have taken place. European observers are now active in the region. This is a dramatic change. For centuries, Armenia functioned as a strategic anchor for Russian influence in the South Caucasus. Now, that anchor is weakening, and once trust disappears, rebuilding it becomes extremely difficult. At the same time, Azerbaijan has moved with precision and confidence. Using a combination of military modernization, diplomatic strategy, and economic leverage, Azerbaijan has strengthened its regional position significantly. Energy exports to Europe have increased its importance. Trade corridors passing through its territory now hold major strategic value. Even Russia itself depends on transit routes that pass through Azerbaijan. This gives Baku enormous influence. Interestingly, economic cooperation between Azerbaijan and Armenia has quietly begun in limited forms, showing that regional players are adapting pragmatically rather than ideologically. This kind of cooperation reduces Moscow's traditional role as intermediary. And every time regional actors bypass Russia, Russian influence declines. Power in the Caucasus is clearly shifting, away from Moscow, toward regional actors and global players. One of the most important projects shaping the future is a proposed transport corridor connecting Turkey to Azerbaijan and Central Asia. If fully implemented, this corridor would reshape regional trade. It would allow direct movement of goods between Europe and Asia without passing through Russia. This is a geopolitical earthquake. For Armenia, it represents economic opportunity. For Turkey, strategic expansion. For Azerbaijan, regional leadership. For Russia, strategic loss. Some proposals even include foreign management or international supervision of the corridor security and logistics. If such a route becomes fully operational, it permanently reduces Russia's role as a regional gatekeeper. Maps would change. Trade patterns would change. Power balance would change. This is why analysts say the region is undergoing its most significant transformation in generations. Russia now faces a complex situation. Internal instability in the North Caucasus. Political drift of Armenia toward the west. Rising regional power of Azerbaijan and Turkey. Economic pressure from new trade routes. A military pressure due to ongoing conflict in Ukraine. All of these pressures are happening at the same time. This is not a single crisis. It is a multi-layered structural challenge. Even traditional Russian military positions in neighboring territories are being reconsidered. Some bases now feel politically uncomfortable. Some locations are increasingly isolated. Public opinion in neighboring countries is also shifting. Younger populations increasingly look toward Europe rather than Moscow. Influence is not just about military bases. It is about legitimacy, trust, and future vision. And on that front, Russia's position is weakening. Step back and look at the bigger picture. In Northern Europe, NATO has expanded. In Eastern Europe, conflict has intensified. In the Caucasus, traditional alliances are dissolving. In Central Asia, countries are diversifying partnerships. The regional system that Russia spent decades building is now fragmenting. And this is happening not because of one event, but because of accumulated strategic miscalculations, broken trust, and shifting global realities. Power today is not only military. It is economic, technological, diplomatic, narrative-based. Countries that adapt survive. Countries that fail to adapt lose influence. The Caucasus today is not waiting for Moscow's permission. It is actively redefining its own future. What we are witnessing is the birth of a new geopolitical environment. A Caucasus where regional actors act independently. Trade follows practical routes, not political loyalty. Alliances are flexible. Power is earned, not inherited. This is extremely uncomfortable for old imperial structures. History shows that empires struggle most not when attacked directly, but when relevance slowly disappears. Influence does not vanish overnight. It fades. It weakens. It gets replaced. That is exactly what is happening now. New partnerships are forming. New corridors are emerging. New strategies are being written. The old order is not collapsing dramatically. It is quietly dissolving. The future of the Caucasus is no longer being decided in Moscow alone. It is being decided in regional capitals, in economic agreements, in infrastructure projects, and in shifting public opinion. Empires do not always fall with explosions. Sometimes they fade with irrelevance. A new balance of power is forming. A new regional identity is emerging. A new strategic map is being drawn. The question is no longer whether influence is changing. The question is who understands this shift fast enough to adapt. History rewards those who move with change, and it forgets those who refuse to see it coming. History is being written right now. If you want to stay ahead of the narrative, subscribe to WarlogicX today. Like this video, share it with thinkers, and join a community that sees the world as it really is.